We started 7 years ago, and it really was me getting a crash course on the nonprofit industry, right?
Mhm.
I've never worked in a nonprofit industry. I've always been indirectly involved, whether it's through my family or, sitting on the board of a local church plant in the Bay Area that I was a part of. But I've never worked directly in a nonprofit. And again, Stephanie, you having been in it, you know the mess of it. But like it was just a really tough learning experience, right? Really understanding the pains, the systemic problems, to just like the basic economics, right? It's an entire ecosystem and market that is separate from the capitalistic market. And it's given these golden handcuffs. Again, you're meant to not be profitable. But everything you describe is what it is a business, and we call it the business of doing good. And the business of doing good is very, very broken, right? From the policy levels to the way it runs. And without going into all the details, but we're a tech company, so everything is data driven. This is not just me making blanketed statements. Like, look at giving has been fixed at 2% GDP the last 40 plus years that has been tracked. You look at income and salary levels of executive directors. You look at the failure rates of nonprofits. You look at the default rates of nonprofits. Again, whoever wants to do your own research, chat GPT it, whatever, right? Like it's a very broken system. So then long story short, in our journey and my kind of learning process is like I've always entered into this space as a way to solve big problems, like, systemic problems, right? Again, having the experience that I have in the startup world and just as an entrepreneur was never to come in here and be like, oh yeah, it's like this self-righteous journey of like, I'm going to just volunteer every day. It was never that. It was always like, okay, how do we really kind of systemically look at and solve problems at a big scale? Where we landed at when from the B2B side of our business was really the kind of the access point of nonprofits. Everything comes down to money, right? Like we live in, again, a capitalistic society. Our like it evolves around money. Whether if you're going to do a fundraiser, to your point, Stephanie, like you have to pay for a venue that you can house the fundraiser, right? So when I talk about money, I mean it's just the economic system we live in. And when we talk about access, what do you need? You need to be able to fundraise. But you also need to have status to give tax deductible donations, right? So the access point was the first thing that we were really looking to solve. All right. So then it's like if Stephanie has this great idea, she's driven, she's passionate, how do we enable and empower you to do that? And hurdle number one is being able to receive a tax deductible donation, having an entity, a legal entity, in order to operate to do the mission that you've been called to do. Right. So that was kind of the entire basis and genesis of the Do Good NAS, nonprofit as a service. It's like really figuring out that kind of access point problem first. So that's kind of problem number one that we're solving for. Does can I yeah, does that make sense? Should I elaborate a little bit more on that or
Oh, yeah. Oh, you make complete sense to me, like I said, because I've already been through that grinder of doing this all myself. So yeah, keep explaining it to people or to our audience so they understand like what actually is involved in that. Because all of that I had to figure out on my own, Andy. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I think it directly led to my drinking problem. Because I was so stressed out all the time. So not coincidentally, when we started tying up our nonprofit is also when I quit drinking, which was in 2013. But I mean, that's how stressed out I was because of everything you're talking about. We had these grand ideas to do this good, but it was just getting caught up in the day to day of figuring out like how do you do it legally? Just beyond like having your 501(c)(3) status, there's just so much that you need to know. And you're right. It's like in the nonprofit sector, the thought is like, oh, it's the nonprofit. You shouldn't be making money. You shouldn't have a salary. For the first couple of years, I didn't even get paid anything myself. And then finally, as we started hiring a consultant, they're like, no, you're the CEO, the founder, and you're actually doing most of the work. Like you should be paid. And I was like, oh, people in nonprofits get paid. And up until that point, I was just fitting that into my daily workday, and I was so stressed out, like all the time. I think I was a totally different person back then, I swear to God. And people from the outside would think, "Oh, you're doing all this good," but I was so stressed out because I had to deal with all that stuff that I didn't know how to deal with. So, yes, keep elaborating on that because I don't want people to go through what I went through. I want them to know you can have this idea, and now that there's systems like yours that, like, "Hey, we take that back end, we run it for you, and then you just run with your idea."
Yeah.